This is the Comics Alternative Kickstarter, Discovering Sock the Comic Book. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Comics Alternative Kickstarter. This is the weekly show where I talk with a comics-related Kickstarter creator about a project that they're currently kickstarting. And this week I have the pleasure of talking with Rickman. He is the mind behind Sock the Comic Book. Rickman, how you doing?
I'm good, Derek. How are you?
I am doing well.
Awesome.
Now, okay, I just stated the title of your project, Sock the Comic Book, which, if our listeners aren't familiar with this, they may be scratching their heads. What the hell is this? So what is Sock the Comic Book?
Well, I'll give you the elevator pitch. You put 6 socks in the wash, but you only get 5 back. Where is the 6th sock? Out fighting crime. And there you go. That's the pitch. Basically, this comic book is about a little sock who hears a cry for help and steps to it. He pops out of the laundry basket and spins around, turns into a superhero, and goes out to fight crime.
Well, okay, so where did this idea come from?
Oh, boy.
Doing laundry?
Okay.
Late at night?
Actually, you know what? It's funny. It wasn't. Way back in the year 1999, I was at the San Diego Comic-Con with some friends that I had met at the Joe Kubert School. And we had just finished our day wandering around. We were tired. We were sitting by the pool at the hotel. And I was just sitting there dangling my feet in the water. And we were all talking about comics that made us laugh, silly, like crazy comics, like The Tick, like Milk and Cheese, like Reid Fleming, the world's toughest milkman, like one of my favorites, The Flaming Carrot. We were talking about the weirdest comic books that we could possibly imagine. And then we started talking about, well, what's the weirdest thing we could do a comic book about? And, you know, everybody had their opinions. And I like I said, I was dangling my feet in the water, and I looked over at my shoes where my socks were, and I'm like, how about a sock? And I had my sketchbook with me, which I pretty much never without, and I literally just sat there and I drew the first panel of Sock in 1999. And shortly thereafter, I did a 6-page story that basically introduced the character. It was, you know, beginning, middle, and end, real quick, in and out kind of a story. And it is virtually wordless. There is one word balloon and there's one caption box. And that's it. Basically, Sock is a visual story. It's an all-ages story. It's about, well, again, it's about a little sock that fights crime. In the book that I'm kickstarting now, in the first story, he fights a street-level thug. In the second story, which is a new story, he fights a supervillain. And in the third and last story in the book, he fights a kaiju monster. Well, he encounters a kaiju monster, I should say.
Huh.
So, yeah, I mean, that's in a nutshell what's going on with this book.
You know, it's interesting, some of the inspiration that you mentioned, Flaming Carrot, Milk and Cheese. And I have to tell you, I'm a gigantic Milk and Cheese fan.
Love Milk and Cheese.
Yeah, but you're describing this as all age, and Milk and Cheese is definitely not all age.
No, no. Neither is Reid Fleming, world's toughest milkman. Neither is. But I guess really what I was going for. I mean, when we were talking, we were having a conversation about what is the weirdest stuff that a comic book has been made out of, and you know, I mean, when you look at The Tick. It's basically a superhero parody. I mean,
right.
That's, you know, and it's phenomenal. But then you talk about Reid Fleming, world's toughest milkman. He's a pretty rough and tumble guy, and but it's still like he's a milkman, and then you get to the Flaming Carrot, which is Bob Burden, and it's like gonzo, it's totally out there. My stories, one of the reasons that my stories are all ages is because for the last, say, 18, 20 years, I have been an art teacher. It's one of the things that I do. And I teach like after school programs. I teach individual students. And I teach them how to draw comics and how to tell stories. And one of the things that I have used for the last almost 20 years is that 6-page sock story, because it really is what I normally do is I print it. I print it on a copier machine, and it's 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper folded in half, and it's a story about a sock. So what it does is it teaches my students, the children that I teach, it shows them that you can do anything you want at all. Anything you can think of can be a character. Anything that you draw, you can publish into a book, and it doesn't have to be more than 2 pages or 4 pages. I've used this, like I said, for the last 20 years for my students, and I've gotten a lot of good results. So, and that's why I keep it all ages. I mean, anybody can read this. To be honest with you, it doesn't have to be somebody that speaks English. Any language you can read this, because there's no words. It's all visual.
So I see that the deadline for your Kickstarter campaign is Sunday, July 1st at, what would it be, 12:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time?
Yeah, actually, I think it's Monday, July 2nd, but regardless, you're right, at 12:22 a.m.
Oh, you know what the deal is?
Right.
I'm currently in the Central Time Zone, so I guess my Kickstarter adjusted.
Interesting.
Yeah. So for those in the Central Daylight Time Zone, it is July 1st. For those in Eastern, it is July 2nd. So there's plenty of time for people to back this. Now, let's talk a little bit about the reward levels. Okay.
Currently, right now, just so you know, we're at 54% in the first 15 days. So in under 2 weeks, we're more than halfway there. I've got a $1 level, which I've called Dryer Sheet, which gets a mention on the website. A $5 level, which I've called Pre-Treat. You will get a sock sticker, and I didn't say it, but you're also going to get a sock button. For a $10 pledge. That's the basic one, which you're going to get the comic book. You're going to get a signed copy of the comic. You're going to get a sticker and a button, and you're going to get a mention on the website. And as we go from there, now that's like your basic pledge. You're going to get the comic book. I'm going to sign it. You're going to get a couple of little, accoutrements with that. But then at the $25 level, I call it the heavy load. You're going to get the same thing as the last level, which I don't think I mentioned. It's called the Turbo Clean. But in the heavy load, the $25 level, you're going to get the comic signed, the sticker, the button, and then you're going to get an original sketch of Sock just for you. Okay? At the $50 level, we call it Spin Cycle. Again, everything from Turbo Clean, but now you're going to get an inked original drawing of Sock made just for you on a comic book backing board in its own sleeve, so it can be protected. At $100, you're going to get the comic, the sticker, button, and an ink drawing of a character of your choice. So you don't have to, it's not a sock. You can ask me for Black Panther, Batman. And
this is called Rinse Cycle.
Yeah, that one. I'm sorry. Yes, they did work on that for a minute. That one's called Rinse Cycle. The $250 level, which there are only 4 of, and there's 3 left right now, is called Permanent Press. That you're going to get the comic, the sticker, signed, the button, and you're going to get a page, an original page from the comic. There's only 4 of those. 1 has already been taken, so there's 3 left, and you will get an original page, an inked 11 by 17 Bristol board that I've drawn and inked, and I will sign and put it in a sleeve, a plastic, Mylar sleeve, and ship that to you in a cardboard envelope. And then that's like the big one for individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the last one called the wash and dry service. Now, the wash and dry service is basically something that I cooked up for, say, a shop. And if they want 10 copies of the comics, okay, so they'll get 10 copies, they will be signed, they will get 10 stickers, 10 buttons, and 10 original inked drawings on backing boards in sleeves. And that way you can entice your customers into purchasing a comic book. Or if you want to, give them away, it's up to you. But that's a $500 level. And that's it. I tried to keep it basic. I wanted people to be able to pledge, not bilk anybody out of money.
Yeah. So from $1 to $500, people have a wide variety of choices.
Yep. Yes, they do.
And again, this deadline for Sock the comic book is Monday, July 2nd, if you're in the Eastern time zone. And Rickman, if people wanted to find out more about your work as a whole, they can go to your website, and that's rickmanart.com. One word, rickmanart.com.
Yep, that's right. That's got a lot of different stuff on it. I'm a graphic designer by trade, and there's some of my actual corporation work or corporate work, and then there's a lot of illustration on there. Some illustrations on there I've done for licensing companies, so you'll see things like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or the Civil War, Captain America Civil War posters, Marvel and DC characters. I did some characters for Suicide Squad. So I was hired by a company that bought licenses to do these things. So those are up there. And then you'll also see my personal, my illustration. And I think I even have some life drawings up there, which I do life drawings. I have a class that I ran for many years where we had a live model and we drew in it, and that's up there as well.
Okay, so they can check out your work there, but they should definitely go to your Kickstarter campaign, Sock
Absolutely.
The comic book, and the deadline for this is Monday, July 2nd. Be sure to check this out. You can go to Kickstarter and search for Rickman and or Sock, the comic book, and you can also find a link in the show notes to the Kickstarter page. Rickman, it's been really nice talking with you. Good luck with this, and I wish you the best for Sock now and in the future.
Thank you very much, Derek. This is wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Yes, and I will be back next week with another comics-related Kickstarter campaign. Until then, enjoy your weekend.